Alright, welcome back to Culz Reviews. Today we're going to review the History Channel's The Real Story of Christmas. As usual, I'm Keegan. Joining me today is
Matt. Sam.
Alright, so obviously we picked this because Christmas is like a week and 4 days away at this point. And so we figured...
Week and a half. It'd be easier to say a week and a half away. Christmas.
It's a week and a half away. But we wanted to delve into a little bit of the history of Christmas. And it's quite sordid and long and I guess different.
Lots of UFOs.
No UFOs. But different than maybe... No UFOs. But it is probably different than a lot of people say it is. And I think this is good because it kind of gets into the background of paganism, which we'll go into at the end. Alright, so like all the History Channel ones, it's really kind of hard to review like a true documentary. So we like to just say some of the fun facts that we saw or learned, or things that were like, whoa, that jumped out at me. So we'll start with Sam. Sam, what did this documentary teach you?
What it kind of taught me is how much the Santa Claus figure has changed over time, and how it had a kind of a demonic presence to it as well at certain points that started where it originally started, and I doubt we really actually know why that actually started, even though we come up with conclusions, but hard to say if it's actually because of that, or if they wanted to be like different, because the European cultures at the time
like
started
and
Saint
Krampus
Nick,
and stuff.
and then the rest of the world kind of took it, and then they started to add like
Krampus,
a Krampus / a demonic figure behind it.
I liked like in all the old pictures how he was like totally chained up, but the kids were like terrified.
Yeah, it was interesting.
What's he gonna do? He's chained up. Like, does he walk in the house and it's just like, ha ha ha, Houdini? Of course, they won't get that reference because
they had him chained around his like waist, so he was still able to use hands.
He's just like.
The chaining was a little interesting.
Yeah, it was different. I kind of found that funny because I think our modern interpretations, at least if you've seen Krampus and stuff, is like this hulking beast and stuff, and
true,
he's gonna like devour everything, and then this one looks like almost a prisoner.
Kinda, but he does look like he has a backpack of a keg in one.
He did,
or a barrel of.
He was gonna like force them to drink or something. I was like, whoa, that is intense.
Which could, like, the reason they probably put that is just because of how much that whole holiday has changed. That maybe they had to add in, like, because some people still did the old tradition of just kind of getting pretty faded and lit on those holidays, and so that's why that figure kind of became a thing, is to show that, like,
it's the yin and the yang of the two different. Yeah, because for a lot of this, I guess even now there's the two versions of Christmas.
Yep.
And especially back in the day, like, what was it, 1700s, 1500s, where some of them were very strict, I mean, not strict, but very formal church holidays where, you go and you pray and it's very quiet and, I guess, down to earth in a way. And then you have your other ones, which people probably today would call them mad ragers, where they're just getting hammered. Sam, at one point, we were like, well, that looked more like a strip club.
Yeah, because there was just a bunch of women dancing and a bunch of men. Like, one had, like, bills in his hand and was drinking with friends. It just seemed
their
weird.
interpretation of Saturnalia, we're like, I don't know how you'd recreate that now. Probably get banned off Face or YouTube.
True.
But yeah, that is an interesting point, because it does kind of, maybe that is where it originated. Like, when they made St. Nicholas, they're also like, well, we gotta put Krampus in there for all those people that are coming around,
being rowdy,
being like singing carols at you, and if you don't give them alcohol, they start throwing rocks.
Like, it was food and alcohol.
They said they had a family like punch bowl of alcohol. I was like, what kind of tradition is this?
Yeah, it's interesting. It sounds like a fun tradition. We should bring it back.
Are you okay?
Have you watched Poltergeist?
This isn't even about Poltergeist. What are you talking about? Are you okay?
So, what I learned in this documentary was that, Rudolph is such a staple in the whole, Christmas thing, but Rudolph is only in his own movies.
Yeah, that is something you brought up.
Yeah, that is an interesting point.
Yeah, he's not in the Polar Express.
Santa Claus, the 3 movies of that with Tim Allen, not in that.
So is kind of Frosty, though.
Yeah, but they've made movies like Jack Frost.
Yeah, Jack and Frost gets involved, but Frosty, well, that's a good point. I mean, with Frosty not being in a Frosty movie, where else is Frosty?
Michael
Frosty,
Keaton was in Jack Frost.
well, yeah, but that's a Frosty type movie.
Yeah.
Well, what if you look at maybe the movie Elf? There's a Frosty in there, but he's not Frosty.
I did like an Elf where they recreated the Bigfoot footage, but with Elf walking, and he just turns, and they're like, "What is this?" And it's totally the Bigfoot footage, and I'm just
good.
like, that.
But yeah, so I mean, makes you think. What they're trying to sell you on, money wise versus everything. The other thing I learned that I've always thought that the busiest shopping day of the year is Black Friday. I mean, it's where lines are crazy, malls are crazy, people are everywhere. But we learned it's actually a few days before Christmas is the busiest shopping day of the year.
Yeah.
And I tend to avoid the store that day anyway, so I mean I couldn't really tell, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I would know because I don't go to the mall a whole lot.
I mean,
But I can definitely see, the outlet malls right now are packed.
it kind of makes sense though, because
You get those last second
last
shoppers.
minute, everybody's a last
Yeah.
minute shopper, and opposed from Black Friday. Black Friday is basically you purchasing stuff for yourself or
Yeah,
for friends
that's
that give you
true.
money,
That's
whereas
true.
Christmas is
Yeah, where you
bunch of
have a
presents for
very
multiple
set goal.
people.
Like
You have a household of 6 people, you have to get 5 presents, or
Oh, man,
5 people presents, multiple presents too. So it definitely does make sense, but it's just
I guess we
some
just hear it
manipulation
so often.
almost.
It's like when I first heard, when I worked at King's and I first learned that Easter was our busiest day, and I was like, that is crazy because
Yeah, that doesn't
for a
make
grocery
sense.
store you're like Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
And
that's
Thanksgiving
what
I
people
think was second maybe, and then
Well,
4th of
second,
July, and then Christmas. Christmas
well,
was
are for your natural days, but you did get that occasional storm that will come in and
Yeah.
the sales just
say.
skyrocket above.
especially in
I
Colorado.
wonder if those are considered in those tops.
Oh, I'm sure they're tops, and maybe if you don't count the next day where everyone who went out and panic shops is then coming back and returning everything.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, oh man, they gotta totally throw this stuff out, but you're returning it because
I wonder how much this pandemic is compared to
I'm sure those first couple days, especially
weeks,
toilet
months.
paper was just up. Toilet paper was crazy.
Toilet
sales for
paper,
a while.
sanitizer,
Well, and you gotta think
probably
about that
canned
stuff
food for
that
wipes too.
sat around forever.
Mhm.
Sanitizer wipes. I remember a couple years ago when we clearanced our aisle out, we marked them down for 99 cents for a 3-pack, and people still weren't buying them. And now that would be gold to find
Right?
a 3-pack for 99 cents.
I remember videos of people making forts and toilet paper and paper towel, and now I'm just I wonder how well those videos are doing on YouTube.
Oh, people are probably raging over it, and it's just
Yeah.
this was this long ago.
Yeah, they're just back in the day. I watched some of our old videos, and I was just like, man, look at us walking around Chicago or Seattle or even back to Mexico, but New Mexico still had masks, but go back to Chicago or Seattle, I'm like, man, look at us, there's so many people, it just feels weird now. Well, I'll be excited when we can get out, and who knows when that'll be, but
Yeah, no, only time will tell.
right. So I think learning this, there's a lot that came from New York, which I guess makes sense. There was a lot of Dutch settlers in New York, but even the original St. Nicholas or A Night Before Christmas came from New York, and so I thought that was kind of interesting. Plus, the first Christmas tree in the White House was Pierce. And I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's funny because you think about these things and you always think, oh, it's been there forever.
Mm-hmm.
When we were thinking about the Arizona Memorial. You're just like, so many presidents have gone there, but then when you research it, you're like, oh, JFK was the first one that went there. And then you're like, well, I guess that makes sense. Like, at first you're surprised, but then you're like, no, that totally makes sense. So I don't know why weird things like that I learned. And I guess it's because I've dug into this, so you learn about some of the pagan stuff. But I think, especially with the new formula we're going to do with Tales of the Craft, we're going to learn, because I think calling things pagan is kind of an umbrella term. And I think it does disservice to the different things, because the Greek mythology is very different than the Norse mythology, but it's called pagan. So I think that's something exciting when we finally get to that, or like learning about Wicca.
Mm-hmm.
How Wicca is really not that old. It's from the 1920s. That would probably be one of the...
documented from the 1920s.
No, that's when it was made. Gerald Gardner made it.
No, okay.
Yeah. It actually started out as a nudist camp, but we'll learn all about that.
Hell yeah.
So any final thoughts before we delve into like our recommendation or not?
I need to look more into some stuff.
Yeah,
honestly.
I think it's a neat like little starting point. Definitely makes us want to learn more about the holiday. But another interesting part was, and you even said this during that, was how people were like, oh, I wish the holidays were like when I was younger.
Yeah.
And you even were like, man, Christmas was so much better when I was a kid. And I agree to a point. I kind of enjoy it more because I have a daughter now. So to see her excitement like every Christmas morning, I'm like probably more excited now. But yeah, sometimes I catch myself just being like, oh man, Christmas was so much fun. Like that night before, and you're just like hard to sleep because you're like, oh, what's gonna come in the morning? Like
hard to sleep. It was hard. Oh, hard to sleep.
Hard
is what
to
you
sleep.
Said. I thought you said hard to sleep. I was just like, shit. I was never hard
Nah.
to sleep.
No, me and my brother would like the couple weeks before Christmas, we'd go downstairs and like check out the presents when our parents were asleep. One time I correctly guessed Jurassic Park 3. I was like, Jurassic Park 3. And it was. It's a great story.
I never went to that extreme, but it was just so difficult to fall asleep.
I know, you're just so excited. What about you, Sam? Any final thoughts?
Yeah. A lot of holidays are just big consumer days. And they even create new ones.
Oh yeah, I swear there's a
Cyber
holiday
Monday.
every day.
Cyber Monday is a new one that
Well,
started
and
recently.
then the small businesses felt bad, and then you had small business Saturdays. And,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, there's pretty much a holiday on every
Tuesdays,
day now,
so
yeah.
Jesus.
There's a National Raccoon Day, like. Recommendations, Sam, how about you? Would you recommend this?
To watch the origins of Christmas.
As like a good base start off. To really get the mind working, being like, oh, what are all these other traditions?
That's going to be kind of hard because I don't think most people really want to learn, or they just think they have an idea and that's just how it is. So I'm going to say, like, as a good starter, it would be a good
Stepping point, maybe?
Yeah, a good stepping point. So I'll give it a 7. The video we watched definitely had sound cut out in it, so I wonder what was being hidden in there or whatever happened. But
Matt, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you okay?
What? What's going on?
we're giving our final reviews.
Oh, reviews. Yeah.
Or the rating.
Review
This
rating.
one would be like 6.5. I feel. Like Sam kind of touched on, it was weird to have like the sound cutting out. They were like really loud, and then they got really quiet, really loud, and it's like, oh, you can't even adjust the volume because it was a little off. So yeah.
That was strange.
Yeah, so 6.5. I mean.
Yeah, I'd probably like say 6.5. It was a good starting off point. Definitely makes you want to learn more and opens you up because it really crammed a lot in there. This could definitely have been a series where it like went over one at a time. but it crammed like a lot of history, which isn't bad. It's definitely a good stepping off point. Probably enjoyed it more than the Pearl Harbor one. Like I was more into this, and maybe it's because I know more about Pearl Harbor than Christmas, so there's more. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. But yeah, it's not bad. And this will probably be the last video that goes up that we filmed in 2020. We have one more filming day that we're going to do, but that one won't come out till 2021, so. I'm excited. We got some cool locations set up for 2021.
Yep, if all goes as planned.
Yeah, hopefully we got a big film trip in September of next year, so.
And potentially sooner, depending.
Yeah. And a bunch of like littler trips, but some really fun trips planned, so stay tuned. I can't believe this year's over. So as usual, if you want to see more Culz reviews, click that link that's right over Sam about right now. Alright, so Matt's now walked out of frame. I hope he's okay. If you want to see more from us here at Culz Paranormal, click the link that's probably somewhere over here. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe.
And turn on that notification bell, and if you want to get notified on more of our videos, make sure to switch it from personalized to all to get notified on all the videos. Other than that, have a wonderful Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Let's go figure out what Matt's doing.